My mother, Hilda Erreca, just sent me a few 1962 newspaper articles from the Evening Tribune announcing my Uncle Victor Buono visiting our home in El Cajon, California, and about his being cast in the Robert Aldrich film Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Victor met Miss Davis for the first time Monday. The film's producer-director, Robert Aldrich, had seen him in an Untouchables episode and had selected him for the role. But of course, Betty's approval was necessary. "I must admit that I was very impressed," Buono commented about this fateful meeting. "In fact, I was awestruck. What amazed me was she really looked like Bette Davis. It occurred to me during this audition that I should turn to the producer and say, 'Okay, Bob, she'll do fine.' I didn't quite have the nerve to do it, but I'm sure Miss Davis would have accepted it in the spirit intended." Actor Victor Buono, whose home is in Encino, spent several days last week in El Cajon as the house guest of his brother and wife, Mr. and Mrs. Louis Erreca, and watched his nephew Wayne play ball with the Yankees in the Western Little League. Mr. Buono, whose latest film is The Strangler, played recently on The Perry Mason Show. He also spent some time visiting his grandmother, Mrs. Myrtle Keller, recuperating from a broken leg. Having read the book Joan Crawford, a personal biography written by Charlotte Chandler, there is an accounting of Victor on the set of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, in the words from Director Robert Aldrich and Joan Crawford, describing the personal climate there. Bette Davis, however, hadn't liked Aldrich's choice of Buono, whom he had seen in an episode of the popular television series The Untouchables. Betty came to me and said that Mr. Buono was too big and fat and too revolting to appeal even to her Jane character. Aldrich said, "I held my ground, and she accepted my decision. She was always polite to Buono, but not warm, and though I think he sensed the way she felt, he never said anything about it to me. He was very young, and this represented a big career opportunity for him, so any displeasure on her part would have had to make him even more nervous." Betty was a real lady, and not only a professional, but a very honorable person, a square shooter. After her first scene or two with him, when we stopped shooting, she strode toward him in that way she had, and she said, in my presence, looking up at him, "I confess that before we began, I did not care for Bob's choice of you, and I tried to persuade him not to use you. He was right, and I was wrong. I hope you will accept my apology, because you are absolutely marvelous."